What is up everyone, Movie Massacre back again with another video, and today's going to be a horror trivia challenge where I answer 12 horror related questions. Now, this was a tag where Luke from Movie Massacre 1987 decided to tag me, and this was quite a while ago now, so Luke, I do apologise for getting to this video very late. I've been meaning to do it for a while. But I'm not going to tag anyone today. If you're watching this and you're a YouTuber and you just want to do this, feel free. I'm going to tag you all. So yes, if this is your type of thing, especially with it nearly being Halloween, you know, feel free. Now, some of these questions are kind of weird, but most of them are pretty straightforward. But there's a couple of strange ones there that I really did struggle with. So without further ado, let's just get into the first question. Now the first one is very straightforward, and that is, what is your favourite slasher movie? Now, this is my favourite subgenre of horror. Child's Play 2, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Halloween. The list is endless. I love the slasher genre. But after looking up online what the best slashers were and stuff to get some ideas, obviously the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, I didn't know if I considered this a slasher, to be honest, but when you think about it, there are like 4 or 5 kills here that Leatherface commits and the family, so I suppose it is a slasher, and the internet seems to think that it is. Now, it's not only my favourite slasher, it's my favourite horror film of all time. I went to see this at the cinema just a couple of months ago there, and it was the best experience I've ever had with the movie. I noticed so many new things, but I just love the whole raw and gritty feel of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It feels so realistic. I've spoken about this film many times on the channel, and one day I will review it in full detail. But I just love the look of Leatherface, this chaotic family who are just like no other. But I always say this, you wouldn't put it past someone in the outback of Texas there to be committing these crimes. You just wouldn't. It is based on a true story, and that's what I feel like. That's why I feel it's such a good horror movie, because it's realistic, and that is the scariest thing for me. Humans are more scary than ghosts, goblins, monsters. So yeah, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre for me is definitely the answer for this one. Next up is your worst sequel in a horror franchise. Pretty easy one for me. Didn't even have to think about it. And that answer is Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Wow, what a piece of fucking shit this is. I recently watched the Freddy franchise a couple of years ago with my fiance, and even she agreed that this is by far the worst one. It's a comedy movie that isn't very funny. It's the worst Freddy you will ever see. There are Looney Tunes type moments happening in this. He is killing people in video games, and then when he kills them he says great graphics. It's just not scary whatsoever. Freddy is even kind of a parody of himself here. It's reminded me of a Goosebumps movie. I mean, this town of Springwood in these nightmares just reminded me of a terrible B movie. Goosebumps is the best way to describe it. You know, I used to watch on Nickelodeon and stuff. That's what it felt like when I was watching this movie. It's so bad. And there is a character in this film who is actually worse than Freddy in this. Freddy is terrible in this movie.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little soul too.
But there's a character called Tracy, and I fucking hate her guts. I mean, she is just the worst character I have ever seen in any film ever. Seriously, she thinks she's so tough. She thinks the dialogue she spits out, it's all just embarrassing. The movie is terrible, and the best bit about this entire film is the end credit scene where this kind of cool song comes on and it shows a montage of all the other Freddy movies. I'm not even joking. It's a solid 1 out of 10 for me. It's garbage. So my answer to worst sequel in a horror franchise is Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Number 3 is going to be a horror movie I wish more people talked about, and this is a couple of movies that I had to mention. I couldn't pick just one, and I have mentioned them many times on the channel. I done 31 movies to watch in October a few weeks back, and I mentioned both of these films in it. And the first one is going to be Frailty. Now, I kind of think this is the most underrated movie ever, in my opinion, or one of them if you like. Definitely the most underrated horror, and this is directed and stars Bill Paxton, and he basically sees this angel at work one day, and the angel says you need to go and slay these demons who are disguised as humans. They walk amongst us. So he goes home, he tells his 2 sons he's a man of faith. One of his sons believes him, the other one thinks he's absolutely batshit crazy, and what ensues after that is you've got to make your own mind up, basically. It's kind of a guessing game. You don't know whose side to take. Is he crazy? Is he really been visited by this angel? And it has one of the best endings in a movie I've ever seen. What a twist it is. You've got to watch Frailty. But the other one I would pick is a found footage film called Hell House LLC. This is basically about a group of teenagers who get this hotel called the Abaddon Hotel. It's rumoured to be haunted, and they do it all up as a tourist attraction. On the first night, 15 people die, and it is filmed by one person and put on YouTube. But then it goes back to these teenagers doing up the hotel and getting it all ready, trying to get it done in time, with weird things happening. You know, they record the whole thing. It's a really, really well done found footage movie, and just after the Blair Witch, I would say this is the best one. So they're 2 horror movies that I wish people talked about more. Next up is Best Horror Remake. And I didn't want to take the easy route and just pick The Thing or The Fly, because, to be honest, I haven't seen the original of them films, and I don't love them movies as much as most people. I think they're very, very good films, but I've actually gone with the Hills of Eyes remake here. I was surprised as hell when I watched this movie. I thought it was going to be terrible, but you know what? It's brutal as fuck, and there's some really shocking moments in this. It's a good little story with this family just getting lost in the outback there, and these cannibals are living in the hills. I think this is better than the original. I know that original is considered a classic, but for me, I would go to this one every single time. I just think it's better filmed. It's got better acting and stuff in it. The other one kind of feels like, not a very high production movie. I have no idea if it was or not. I know Wes Craven directed that. He was a great director, but I just prefer this one. Especially that scene where the family run out and a couple of the family members are left in that caravan type on wheels type, what they call it, the RV, and chaos ensues. So that's one of my favourite scenes in any horror movie. So The Hills of Eyes for me is my favourite horror remake. Next up is a horror that did not live up to the hype. Well, don't shoot me here, because I know a lot of people love this movie, and I do think it's pretty good, but I was still kind of disappointed. Probably due to my own doing, because I was really, really looking forward to this film after being such a big fan of the miniseries, and that is It, Chapter 1. I just don't think the Pennywise by Bill Skarsgård was as good as Tim Curry. The CGI here is all over the place. CGI for me in a horror movie is not scary, and they didn't need to use it. They did not need CGI on Pennywise. It worked perfectly fine with the miniseries, even though that's dated. There are some moments in that feel scarier for me. When Georgie's arm is bit off at the start of the movie, I was just waiting for Pennywise to bite it off, and next minute these big stupid jaws come out and his head opens so wide and stuff. I get that he's a creature and not actually a man, but it just really took me out the film. That first scene, I was like, oh no, they're gonna CGI this to hell. And then there's loads of moments with Pennywise going, woo! I mean, that's not scary to me. But I do like the whole story aspect of it. These kids, how they get along, the little fun they have. It's a good coming of age movie. And I do think it's good, but for me it's like a 7 out of 10 at best. I was really, really disappointed in it, but I did enjoy a lot of it. It's just a bit of a disappointment for me, so that's my answer. It's chapter 1. Don't even get me started on chapter 2. That was crap. Next up is favourite horror animal. Well, I gotta go with Bruce the Shark from Jaws. I still have no idea why his name's Bruce, but maybe I missed it in the movie or something. But yeah, the shark off Jaws, if you like. Wow, what a movie this is. It's fantastic, isn't it? I really love the way Spielberg did not show you this shark until halfway through the movie. That was so effective. We only really see it from the shark's view, where he's swimming under the water, with that brilliant score by John Williams there. But I mean, the size of this thing as well, it is dated a little bit in places, but for the scale this movie's on, one of the best movies ever made. My favourite horror animal, it just has to be Jaws. It has to be. I mean, what else could it be? Cujo, maybe? Well, I haven't seen that film, to be honest. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jaws. Pretty simple answer for me. I mean, I didn't even have to think about this one. Favourite horror book that isn't by Stephen King? I'm sorry to bring this up again, but I'm going to go with Goosebumps. I don't read too many books. I have read the book It by Stephen King. Now, if this question didn't say not by Stephen King, I would pick that book. It's the best book I've ever read. But I can only really go with what I've read that is horror related, and that is Goosebumps. I used to read these all as a kid. Night of the Living Dummy, you know, the Attack of the Blob Monster and stuff. I used to love these. I really did. I read quite a lot of them. Say Cheese and Die was one of my favourites, where the kid with the camera, you know, and he can, you know, it looks like they're dying in the camera and stuff. I really enjoyed it when they brought that Goosebumps series out. I went, you know, when I was saying before about Freddy's Dead, it's more of the production value. It felt like Goosebumps, but the show was still great. It was. But yeah, I love these books by R.L. Stine. I really should have got onto them Fear Street trilogy books, you know, because I love Goosebumps so much. I mean, they were more intended for adults. Maybe it's not too late. But yeah, I gotta go with Goosebumps. So many good stories that he come up with there, and kept it at a very, you know, low level for kids and stuff, which is kind of a hard balance to find. So yeah, Goosebumps. Now this is a very strange question. Best fire stunt in a horror movie. And I gotta go with A Nightmare on Elm Street here. Now this is where Nancy sort of sets up them traps, like Home Alone basically, and sets Freddy on fire. I think she blows him up with a bomb or something, and he's running up and down the stairs. He's on fire, sets the house on fire, jumps in the bed with the mother, he's on fire. I mean, it's a pretty chaotic scene, but this was a really hard one. I mean, more notably Halloween Kills, I might have put that in there. I only watched that on the weekend, and that was a pretty good scene with the firefighters at the start. But is it a fire stunt? I mean, he basically just walks out the house and that's it. The Nightmare on Elm Street is more of a fire stunt, I feel. And it's just fun to see Freddy on fire running up the stairs and all these fire-printed footsteps just following him. But yeah, I'm going to go with that. Nightmare on Elm Street, where Nancy vs Freddy, if you like, if that scene's called. Next up is a horror movie that only I feel like I enjoy. And this is a pretty simple one for me as well, because this movie gets a ton of hate. And that is going to be Seed of Chucky. Yes. Don't get me wrong, if I went to cinema back then to see this, I probably would have been very disappointed, because it's a very different Chucky film. It doesn't feel like the others, it feels more of a comedy. But I can really appreciate it for what it was, what it is now. I mean, it touches on a lot of different subjects that the franchise hasn't done before. It's kind of a movie with a movie, where he's kind of on set of his own film and stuff. There's a Britney Spears moment that is so stupid, but it's so bad it's good. I mean, that's kind of like the whole movie. So bad it's good. Redman's in there. It's just... I think this is a fun movie. I really do. His son... Oh, what's his name? I forgot. Chucky and Tiffany's son. He's kind of a strange character, but... I always thought that this movie, they were going to have a son who was just... you know, gonna be like this other killer and take after them, and then they were gonna be a trio. So I can see why a lot of people were disappointed that Glenn, that's his name, he's kind of a good character, and he sees the bad that his mum and dad do. It's a very strange take, but I really enjoy this film. I do. I prefer it over Bride of Chucky, and I prefer it over Cult. I don't think it's the worst one in the franchise whatsoever. I have a lot of fun with this, and I am on that hill up there, virtually on my own. So yeah, see the Chucky is my answer for that one. Hope you can continue watching the video. Next up is fave horror creature. Now this was kind of weird because I had favourite horror animal, and that's where I definitely went for Jaws, because a shark is an animal, I suppose, or is it a fish? I don't know. But I thought out the box here of a creature, you know, one that you don't really see every day, and one that's made for film, if you like. And I've maybe cheated a bit here, but I have mentioned it in the video already. I've gone with Pennywise because he is, in fact, a creature. He's kind of this alien who wakes up every 27 years and feeds on the kids, you know, of Derry, Maine there. He takes all different shapes of, you know, your fears. So for Richie, he is a werewolf, you know. He takes the clown as his, you know, his usual form, but he does take all different shapeshifts of different forms. And he's definitely one that can, he's not your everyday, it's a weird, it's a shapeshifter creature, isn't it? That's what it is. So I was going to go for the xenomorph, but I do prefer Pennywise, and I'm talking about Tim Curry's Pennywise here, not Bill Skarsgård's, who was okay in the role, but Tim Curry's one is the one I remember from the miniseries. So I'm going with Pennywise as my favourite horror creature. Horror movie I didn't think I'd like, but I really did enjoy. I'm going to go with Saw 2 here. Now, I loved the first Saw movie. I thought it was pretty darn special, kind of genius if you like. And I just thought, oh, they're doing a Saw 2. This is just going to be a stupid sequel that we don't need. It's going to be a cash grab. And at that time, a lot of bad horror movies were coming out. I think it was like 2010 or something, 2009 there. But wow, it surprised the hell out of me. This was really, really well written. They went in a slightly different direction there, with a lot of people coming together in this house. And that ending took me by surprise again. I mean, the first movie's ending is unbelievable, but for them to get me again and just take my mind away from thinking that there could be a twist again, and I totally forgot about the twist in the first movie, it just all worked. It was brilliant. I thought Detective Eric Matthews was a great character, played by Mark Wahlberg's brother. I forgot his first name, I'm really sorry. But some of the deaths in this as well, where Obby is in the fireplace and that, you know, the... what's her name? She gets... I forgot her name, but she gets thrown into that pit of needles there by that big drug dealing guy. It's a really, really good film. I really enjoy it. It's one of the best horror sequels I've ever seen. And I done a horror sequel top 10 a while ago, and Saw 2 was in there. So yeah, I expected nothing from this movie whatsoever. I didn't think it could live up to the first, and it didn't, but it came very close indeed. So Saw 2 is my answer. Next up is my favourite horror ending. And take a wild guess, guys, because I've just talked about the sequel. That is Saw. Now, this isn't just my favourite horror ending, it's my favourite ending of all time. I mean, when I first seen this, spoilers, if you haven't seen Saw, spoilers right now. When I seen Jigsaw get up off that floor as Adam plays the tape from Mr. Hindle there, because you really do think Mr. Hindle was the one behind all this. and you realise there's 3 of them in the game, that Saw music kicks in, Jigsaw gets up off the floor, he's been there the whole time. This was me. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was like, oh my god, what the hell? I did not see this coming in a million years. It was perfect. I watch it again now and again on YouTube. And I done a top 10 movie moments of all time video a while ago. And I'll leave that down below. I'll leave my top 10 list down below and stuff so you can see my favourite horror sequels or whatever as well. But that was in it. And it was pretty damn close to the top. So, easy answer for me. Probably the easiest one to answer on this list. Okay guys, I hope you all enjoyed this little fun 12 horror question video. Don't forget, if you want to do this video, I am tagging you all now. So yeah, there you go. Now I'm going to leave a link to Luke from Movie Massacre 1987's channel down below. Definitely get over there and give him a subscription. I talk to him all the time on Instagram and stuff. He's a really nice guy. I've been on a few live streams with him. I would really like to see his channel grow. So please get over there, link down below, and give him a subscription. He's a really nice guy. He done a trailer reaction the other day for the Black Phone, and he has a really interesting theory on that movie. So definitely get over there and give him a subscription. Thank you so much, Luke, for thinking of me and tagging me. Hope you all enjoyed this video, guys. Take it all easy. See you on the next one.